Hello, voice check, hello, hello, voice check. Okay, students will start in 2 minutes. Hello, voice check, Okay. Shailendra sir?
Yeah, I'm on.
Sir, okay, sir, I'll start. Just a second. So, a very good morning to all of you. I am Professor Jatin Chakravarti, Coordinator of the Healthy Campus Committee of GIT. Today we have gathered here virtually to discuss and ponder about a very important issue that is bothering our nation and today's youth, that is drug abuse. The frequent consumption of drugs and its availability amongst the youngsters has become a big problem for our society. Over the past 2 years, we have observed a series of crackdowns by the Narcotics Control Bureau on Bollywood and other drug peddlers. The recent arrest of Aryan Khan and other celebrities is still fresh in our minds. To discuss more about this social menace, we have with us Shri Shailendra Kumar Mishra sir, who is the Zonal Director of Narcotics Control Bureau, Ahmedabad Zonal Unit. He is a 2000 batch BSF officer who has gained vast experience while serving in different parts of the country, and currently he is on deputation to NCB. He possesses immense experience in training. He is one of the first recipients of the Home Minister's Medal for Excellence in Police Training. As Zonal Director of NCB Ahmedabad, he is overseeing a vast jurisdiction comprising the entire state of Gujarat and Union Territories of Daman and Diu. During his tenure as Zonal Director of NCB Ahmedabad, NCB saw some notable seizures of narcotics and busting of significant networks of interstate drug traffickers. I welcome you, sir, to this virtual gathering and request you to further conduct today's webinar on anti-drug awareness. I would request the students, if you have any questions, we'll give you some time at the end of the webinar, so you can directly ask that. So, Shailendra sir, I request you to please start the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good morning to you all the students, and I would like such webinar, because such type of conversations and everything has become a very rare concept nowadays. It is such rare that interactions have almost gone out of the society scenario, and we are mostly just confined to our societies, our house walls and everything. The recent times when the society was just opening up out of this COVID issues, then again we are finding that we are again shifting back to that same lockdowns era and some sort of prohibitions and everything. But one thing we could gauge, being in the agency, being in Narcotics Control Bureau, one thing I could gauge, that despite of lockdown and despite of having all the problems within the society, the menace of drugs, the consumption of drugs was never down. What happened that once this lockdown and everything came, these problems started, the supply became redundant, it became problematic for the people, the prices went high. So people are finding it difficult, they started committing some crimes and everything. So many things are involved. So drug awareness is one of the biggest issues that should be educated properly to specifically to our new generation, who are most vulnerable class, who are going to become the most vulnerable class if at all they are not educated. So education on the front of drugs is the most important aspect. Without taking much of time, since my introduction has already been given, I am Zonal Director NCB. Shailendra is my name. I am looking after entire Gujarat. So I'm not going to take much of time. I'll straight away move towards a small presentation, small in the sense that slides are many, but the contents I would like to just go through the briefly it will be available. And if there are any questions, we'll be taking it at the end of the session. So I'll be sharing this content. Please help me. Just confirm when it is shared.
Yes, sir. Okay. Yes, sir, it is visible.
It is visible?
Yeah.
Just a second. I think I have to show it in PowerPoint mode.
Yes, sir.
Is it visible now?
No, sir. You need to share it again, sir.
No, I will just do it. I believe it is visible now.
Yes, sir, it is visible now.
Okay. So, welcome you all once again. The topic of today's interaction will be drugs, its abuse, and social awareness, and why it is required. The most important aspect is that why it is required. So, drugs. What is drugs? What is the common perception? It is the general perception in the public is drugs is a very harmful thing. It is very notorious thing. If I speak about drugs, so is it? There is a simple interactive question. One or two may answer whether drugs are really problematic. Whether drugs have any good benefits also, or drugs are just the negative perception per se. If anyone can answer. When we talk about drugs, what is the first image that comes in the mind? No one is there? So I'll just continue. Whenever we talk about drugs, the general perception is that it is a bad thing and it should not happen to everyone, although it is one of the prevalent things to happen. But whenever you talk in the society, whenever you talk to the parents, whenever you talk to the elder generation, even to the student community, they will say that drugs are not good. But drugs have their positives and negatives. Do you know the origin of drugs? Drugs were always created for some good thing. Initially, every drug has been created for some good purpose, but it was diverted, the use was diverted, it was rechannelized to something else, and then the abuse started. So that is why we have taken the topic drugs. What are drugs? Abuse and awareness. So any substance that is that is affecting your central nervous system through intoxication or similar changes is a drug. And drugs have positives too, because as I have already told that morphine was one of the drugs which was created during World War. It was specifically designed to counter the pain of the soldiers who kept on marching, who kept on fighting, and who got severe wounds during the war. So this was created for their pain relief. Then again, codeine is one of the most important thing that we get during our cough and cold. It is a cough syrup, basically. Normal any cough syrup that you get, it is a codeine-based cough syrup. That is opium-based cough syrup. And so these are the medicines, few examples that were created for the goodness of the society, but they were later diverted to some other uses, and later it started as an abuse. So there are the types of drugs. There are certain legal side of drugs and illegal, illicit type of drugs. So legal types, whatever drugs are there, they cover the segment of medicines. Tobacco is legally available in the market. Alcohol, in some states, it is legally available. Caffeine, tea, bhang. You will be surprised to know that caffeine and tea is also basically a sort of drug. It has caffeine in it, which is a stimulant, and but since the side effects are not very strong, so it has been allowed to remain in the society, and we all use it in our daily life. And on the other hand, there are certain illicit drugs such as opium, which is not openly available in the market, heroin, cocaine, ATS, anti-stimulant type of methamphetamine sort of things, charas, ganja. These are mostly the drugs that we are going to get aware about during today's interaction. So it is mostly the illicit side of drug that the NCB is dealing with. And believe me, NCB deals with all these menace in a very strong manner. But the problem is such a large and such a vast problem that controlling it through just one or two agencies is very difficult. The society has to participate. The society has to come forward to curb all this menace. So, as my question was there, so when is it called abuse? Abuse starts when a person starts consuming any drug in an illegal manner, when it is not prescribed by the doctor. He starts overusing it. He's wrongly using it as if some medicine is meant for oral consumption, but he is taking it through intravenous where effect is changing. Then there are certain drugs which are only to be taken within a small doses of 1 or 2 small doses, 1 or 2 small pills, and people are just popping pills one after the other. So then it comes and then it becomes abuse. Michael Jackson, one of the major singers of the previous century, he died of drug abuse only. Most of the cases, Marilyn Monroe, if you have heard about her death, she died of over abuse of drug, overuse, over abuse, and drug abuse, whatever. So concoction of any, even legal medicines, if they are being wrongly used, will become overuse, and death may occur through those things also. But abuse is for these reasons, that it is being illegally used, it is wrongly or overly used. So when abused, drugs cause stupor, coma or convulsions and even death. When
Shailendra sir, sorry to disturb. The slides are not changing actually.
Yeah.
The slides are not changing.
Oh,
actually,
I am on the.
I guess you have shared the second screen. I guess it's the other window you might have shared.
Abuse. This slide is not there.
No, sir. It is still the first slide only, drug abuse and social awareness. So you might have to share the second window of presentation. I think. We are able to see only the first screen.
Which slide? Drugs, common problem.
No, we are only able to see the first screen only. So I think you need to again share your window. A presentation wala window share करना पड़ेगा sir. Yeah.
This is one problem that is not getting controlled in this
online session,
I believe.
Yeah.
Just a second. I will stop sharing, I believe. No?
Yes, yes.
Just let me.
Yeah.
Let me see if this is available in this mode itself. You are seeing this slide at least?
So we are just able to see drug abuse and social awareness. First slide only.
That is. And just tell me whether it is shifting now.
Okay. Okay, now it is shifting. Sir.
Yeah. Now
yes.
It is shifting.
Yeah.
So we'll conduct it in this mode only, because otherwise I believe it is becoming difficult. All right.
Yes, sir.
So these are the few slides that I had discussed, and I believe the students are listening to all these. They have not muted or done. You can just inform them that this is an informative session, because students are one of the largest targets of NCB. But mostly just considering their future and everything, NCB does not take that strict measures against the students. But it is not like that. If things go out of hand, NCB won't act. So that is why this awareness drives are conducted. One of the most important reason is to make them aware to not to indulge in drugs. So their questions may also arise, and they may just keep their questions ready.
Yes, sir. The students are replying to the.
Yeah. All right. So these are the types of drugs that I was talking about. These are medicines, tobacco, alcohol, caffeine, tea, bhang. So I was on this slide, I believe. I was talking about this slide. So when is it called abused? I told that whenever any drug is being overly used or overly consumed, wrongly consumed, then it becomes an abuse. And abuse can cause death or stupor, coma, anything can be caused by the abuse of drug. So drugs under negative definitions, which is generally under the scanner of the agencies such as NCB and Narcotics Department, are medicinal drugs. These are meant for medicinal purpose, but just because of their abuse, they are controlled also. So ketamine is one of such drugs. Heroin, cocaine, charas, amphetamine, inhalants such as codeine cough syrup or something. So these things become, you will be surprised to know, those people who are not using will be surprised to know that a simple paint, nail paint remover is also used as high content, high substance by some people. You might have found many children just roaming around these petrol tanks and around cars and just trying to inhale the fuel tank just to get those fumes coming out of your petrol tank of your motorcycle or your car. So these are the advanced intimations, the advanced indicators that the child is not moving on the right path. And whenever you find something of this sort happening around you, you must become aware. As a brother, as a sister, you might be having your smaller brothers under your eyes. So for their goodness also, for their well-being also, you are required to be aware of these things. So what are the drugs of abuse? So these are few types of drugs. We have divided into two segments. That is one based on origin and the one is based on the action upon the body. So the based upon origin, there are three types of drugs. One is this plant-based drugs, which you mostly cover: opium, cannabis, and ganja jisko hum bolte hain, and cocoa. So opium and cannabis are more prevalent in India rather than cocoa-based cocaine sort of drugs are there. So opium and cannabis are one of the problematic area for as far as Indian conditions are concerned. And there are semi-synthetic drugs. Semi-synthetic drugs are those drugs which are made after combining chemical and natural drugs. So heroin, morphine, and cocaine fall into this category. As I've told that cocaine is not mostly manufactured, it is in Latin American countries, mostly manufactured by Latin American countries. And it is, if it is found in this country, it is mostly smuggled in. But heroin and morphine are mostly available from the neighboring countries, and it is prevalent in the Indian markets also. The worst kind of drugs. See, all kinds of drugs are bad, but the worst of all these three is synthetic drugs, which are purely chemical component. They are designed to control the human mind. They are designed to control the human body. So the designer always takes his profits into account while designing. He never takes the health of the consumer into his consideration while he is designing this drug. So anti-amphetamine types of stimulants, Mandrax, LSD, GHB, ketamine, these are very dangerous drugs. Once you fall into trap of these synthetic, semi-synthetic drugs, it is almost impossible to fall back. That is a point of no return sort of thing. Most of the drug abusers who have fallen into these kinds of drugs have never fallen back. The only smallest of the possibility of someone returning back is from these plant-based opium cannabis sort of. We have very rarely found that anybody who has fallen well within the traps of this segment has ever fallen back. So it is always advisable for anyone to just stay away from these things, and just if your friends or any family member is taking and just considering to take these drugs, just do not allow them to ask them to just desist from, just make them desist to not to do so. Otherwise, it will become a very problematic thing for an individual. And what all problems it entails, I will be discussing it later. And the second portion is action on body. So there are three types of drugs. The first action is depressants. Mostly these are the sedative type of drugs which make you sleep. Then stimulants are there which are there to just make you work. So amphetamine, cocaine, these are the drugs which push your body to work. But anything that is pushed beyond the limit will collapse after a certain period of time. You cannot just allow your car to run just by refueling. It also needs rest. It also needs recuperation. It also needs maintenance. But in case of stimulants, that is not possible, because once you stop, you will be craving for the next dose, and thereafter it becomes a cycle. And you will stop only when, just like Sushant Rajput's thing happened, and thereafter lot many cases are there, lot many, even Divya Bharti, an old actress, was there. So there are lot many indicators where people have fallen into trap of wrong type of drugs, and they just lost their life. They lost their careers. They lost their future. They were very promising actors. They were having all the good things in them, but only one bad thing, that they were abusing drugs. So that become a very problematic thing for them. And now the society, the family, each and every person is suffering. You must be aware of the Sushant Rajput episode. So there is nothing more to tell. The drugs in any kind is not a good thing to happen with anyone. These are few examples. If you find such type of plants around your premises, around your neighborhood, you must report all these plants to the authorities. This is the opium plant, जिससे अफीम बनती है. This is ganja, cannabis plant. It is mostly found in jungles and everything, but it is an illegal plant. It cannot be grown in anyone's backyard also. Even if you find a gram of any of these substances, you will be prosecuted. And minimum punishment is for 1 year. And maximum is for 20 years, and which can go up to death. So it depends upon the quantity and what were your intentions. So it becomes very difficult once you fall into the trap of agencies, and once you get entrapped when you are having possession of this drug. Even in Aryan Khan's case, the portrayal that is being done is not correct. The worst part is that even if your friend is having, and you are having some chat or something, or you had some discussion at any point of time, you will be taken as a criminal in any sort of drug abuse related thing. So it is very important to be aware of your friends also. The friends who are taking such type of drugs, you must maintain your distance from such people, because one day either they will ask you to consume it, or they may themselves fall into the trap of legal agencies, and in turn you may also get entrapped with the legal problems. So that becomes a very problematic issue for families and your whole society. So these are a few examples of synthetic drugs: ketamine, amphetamine. These are the various packings that they come in a very attractive, like these are LSDs. These are stamp-sized. You just place them under your tongue and everything. So nothing is very advantageous about drugs. They just create these hallucinogens. Are one of these are called party drugs, where you have this tendency of people have told that they feel like flying. So flying without wings, flying is only possible when you are having wings. If you are having feeling that you are flying without wings, then you are certainly in trouble. And you must pray that you must not fall into the trap of any agency, any narcotic issues in at any part of your life. So you have to be careful. All the students need to be careful. Why I am using words you? Because initially I have told that students are one of the segments which are very vulnerable, and most of the abuse, most of the small scale abuse of drug has been found prevalent in his colleges, in dormitories, in your hostels. These are very common things to happen. And once any action starts, it becomes very difficult to come out of those actions. Minimum punishment is 1. Minimum punishment is, I repeat, 1 year. So first of all, you should not take. The second thing, if someone is taking, make your distance from. Keep yourself at a distance from that person, and try your best to just dissuade him from consuming things. If you are unable to dissuade him, just maintain your distance, because that person will fall into the problem at some point of time, and you will be the next. So these are the stimulants that I told that they make you just keep on working, but rest is required. So body breaks. And there are antidepressants. Mostly students go for these type of drugs. Initially, they go for marijuana, and thereafter we basically call it, agencies call it as a graduation. They start from nursery, like my cigarette, then they go to alcohol, then they go to first standard, second standard, third standard, then they go to marijuana, then they go to charas, then they go to, so many drugs are there. So they start graduating, but graduation in this field is very bad. You are not going to achieve anything. Basically, you can say that graduation, if you are graduating in this field, you are just getting a certificate, getting a degree of being worthless. You won't be of any worth to the society, that is for sure. You won't be of any worth to your family, that is for sure. None of the drug abusers who has tried to depend his life on drugs has succeeded in that, in his or her life. You might be aware of Britney Spears, one of the top singers of a decade ago. She was very nice singer. She also ruined her life after getting in touch with Maradona, one of the greatest of football star. He ruined his life. So there is no success story. None of the person who could succeed ever took the route of drugs, except for drug lords. So if you are one of those kind that because you have intentions to become drug lords, you are most welcome, but certainly your life will be very short, because agencies always try to find all such drug lords, and they mostly land up behind the bars. So it is my humble advice that no one should at least try regarding all these things. Being a student, it is always good to have your best efforts towards your studies and everything. So this is the data highlight that was carried out by National Health Survey, and sample size was from 12 to 60 years, and this is the normal prevalence. I hope I am not becoming too harsh in my communication. Jatin?
No, sir. No.
You can just caution me, because awareness also entails the correct presentation of the picture. So that is why I am just opening myself up and not presenting my.
Sir, I'm sure the students also know the legal side of taking consumer drugs.
That is the thing, because once a person gets into trouble, I have seen him shaking and just shivering, crying, but nothing can be done thereafter.
True, sir. Sir, the
Every
students are
person realizes, every
students
person
are also
who has been taught realizes this thing, but that is beyond anyone's control. Even
True,
after we get any accused, it is beyond our control. He cannot be held down. So this is a very difficult situation. Everybody should be aware of.
Sir, hello. Sir, the students are also replying in the chat, so you might want to look.
Yeah, actually, I am sharing this screen, so
Okay.
I don't think that I'll be. I will be looking forward to their conversation session after this.
Sir, I would like to, sir, announce one thing. If the students have any query, they can also write in the chat session, so we'll take up those queries later.
Yeah, sure.
That will be
sure.
Okay.
Thank you so much. So these are the trends in India. I have already told bhang, charas, ganja. These are the normal things that are consumed. Synthetic drugs, there are methamphetamine and pharmaceutical drugs, codeine, diazepam. You might be finding people who might be consuming full bottles of cough syrup in a day, 2 bottles of cough syrup in a day. But you cannot do that. It is not a normal medicine. It has to be prescribed by the doctor, and it has to be taken in. If you are in habit of taking such a huge quantity, you are a drug addict, and you have to come out. If you're someone in the family, someone of your near and dear ones is taking, ask him to come out, because this is an offense. And if one day he is caught, she is caught, they will be put behind bars just for consuming this codeine cough syrup, because it is a Schedule H drug. Schedule H drug cannot be sold without any prescription. Yeah. So these were the trends I was talking about. And injecting drugs, there are physical drugs that you can take. There are inhalants, then there are injectable drugs. So there are many methods that are used by the drug abusers. You find that there are inhalants, people are inhaling it, they are consuming it, and then they are injecting it. So there are three methods, and all the methods are prevalent in this country. So we cannot say that this is happening and this is not happening. Why one fall prey to drug? Is there any specific reason? Many people, when we talk, how did you fall into this trap? They say this, there was distress, there was this, there was that. But most of the time, we also did our study and we found that most of these arguments fail when we test it. Because none of the conditions was such that one would fall into the trap of drugs, except for one thing, which is one of the most worst part to happen within the student community. Which one is that? That is the peer pressure. The peer pressure we found is one of the worst things to happen, where one of the friends is just smoking weed and he is just poking their friends that you can also go for one sip or one kush or the other kush, and thereafter a whole group falls into this trap. So one friend intimates other, the other ones others. So it becomes a cycle. So peer pressure is one of the worst thing to happen during a student's life, and this is one pressure that everyone should be aware. If you want to create a peer pressure for your friends, do it for good things. Do it for education. Do it for good habits. Do it for remaining away from drugs, from alcohol, from each and everything. But just because of peer pressure, if one falls into the trap of smoking or doing drugs, it becomes a very problematic thing for you as well as your family, your friends, your each and everyone. So this is one of the things. So these were the few reasons that they tried to imitate their friends who were just enjoying their life, so-called enjoyment. Because if I see them after a few years, I don't find them very successful. They are not successful at all. So this is one of the reasons. Then there was curiosity, one of the reasons. Boredom was one of the reasons. Risk-taking, rebellion, stress and anxiety, relax. But the best part is none of the successful persons were having these reasons. They never went for drugs, even despite of, and all the persons who succeeded were having all these conditions in their life. They were under stress, they were under immense anxiety, they were the persons who were creating things, they were either startup people, all the good persons who are creating histories, they never fell into all these traps. They just succeeded. Their high was something else. Their high was success. Their high was not a false perception. Their high was not for something for flying without wings. They wanted to fly, but with their own wings. So they created their wings. So we must try, all the student community must try to imitate such role models rather than the poor fellows who are not in control of their own life, their own emotions. They are weak people. They are having plenty of money, but they are weak. They are not, they are having plenty of money just because their family is having money and they are wasting it. And there will be a time when there will be no money for them to spare. All right. So there are issues. There are always issues because it's a building block. If you are not creating a nice foundation at this study stage, at your formative stage, do not think that you will be creating a very strong building in your future life. So your foundation is the most important thing. That is the student life. If you are able to prepare your foundation well, you will be creating a nice structure thereafter. If you are not creating your foundation well, you won't be able to create a nice structure, that is for sure. For us, it is very easy to comment on these things because we have seen a lot of experience. We have lot of experience. We have seen lot many people, lot many criminals who were trying to succeed just following these drug route, but they never succeeded. So there is no shortcut for success. You have to do your bit of mehnat, and thereafter you can do that. All right. So what are the signs of drug abuse? Drug abuse signs are very plain and very simple. Dull looking and glazed eyes, drowsiness, runny nose, coughing, needle marks. Most of the persons who take injectable drugs have needle marks on their shoulders, on their arms, on their palms, or anywhere. Similarly, the people who are consuming inhalants, some sort of heroin, cocaine sort of thing, you will find that their snouts are burned. You will find a dark patch below their noses, above their lips. So that is because they are heating it up and then consuming. So that heat also burns their skin. So it is very easy to detect a person a drug addict. You cannot just abuse the system. It is only you must be just be careful that system doesn't reaches to you at the wrong point of time. Because if system gets to your place, you will become you will come in problem. There will be nothing which can be hidden from the agencies or from the law enforcement agencies whosoever. So some physical symptoms are also there. Sudden weight loss, malnutrition, some form of acute acne. You find some, because that is mostly related to your personal care. Whosoever does not, whosoever is falling in a drug trap is mostly becomes careless. So he is not taking care of his health, his hygiene, his face, his skin. So acute form of acne, sudden acne, burst and everything are few of the signs of the drug abuse. So tremors, hallucinations. Hallucination is one of the clearest indicator of drug, that sudden form of reactions, anxiety, rejective approach. If you are trying to approach some person, he is rejecting you, rejecting in a very violent manner. So these are few of the indicators in physical symptoms. Then some behavioral systems are there. Irresponsible behavior becomes very argumentative. Lack of motivation is there. Solitary behavior, अकेला रहना पसंद करता है, बाहर नहीं जाता है. He is always lying. Laziness is there. Speech में changes आ जाते हैं. There are changes in your rapid. If there will be a situation when a slow talker will start talking endless. There will be a situation where a very jovial person stops speaking at all. So if he is trying to speak, he will be very wavy in his statements. He won't be able to convey his message. So that becomes, because he is not able to just comprehend his thoughts. So it becomes very difficult for him to communicate things also. Then there are other symptoms also. Very secretive. He will remain aloof. He will remain. This is for the symptoms that you may be looking for within your hostels, within your homes, within your four walls, wherever you are staying. If any of your near and dear ones, if anyone of your friends is very secretive nowadays, he is not allowing anyone to come inside his room. He is not allowing anyone to just clean his room. So this becomes one of the clear indicators. You are finding his studies falling down, then mouthwash and mints, gum. So lot of use. Whenever we have found that people consumed alcohol, they go for mints. If you are consuming mint, it is another indicator. If you are using mint in a lot of quantity, it is another indicator that you are consuming alcohol. You are trying to hide something. Bad mouth, bad breath, bad odor. So these are natural indicators. A person tries to hide, but for law enforcement agencies, these are not a new thing. So one may feel that he may just fool his family or near and dear ones. That may be possible, but fooling a law enforcement agency is very difficult. So do not try all these things. Better is to just stay away from all these habits. So are there any cost of drug abuse? Yes, there are. There are social costs. If someone falls into this trap, there are social costs in terms of broken families. A father falls into the trap, it becomes very difficult for him to manage his family. Loss of reputation is there. If someone's child is declared drug addict, people stop interacting with that family. There's a loss of reputation. Peer group pressure is always there. Social stigma is there. And school dropouts are always there, school and college dropouts, because once a person is not able to manage his studies, it becomes very difficult for him to go to school and just get the grades. So he loses out on the school also. Then there are legal costs. Road accidents increase, domestic violence, crime, aggression and violence, insurgency, anti-national activities. One of the worst things to happen, that you start working against your nation itself just because you want money to have to satiate your drug habits. You tend to go for anti-national activities. So this is one of the costs that the nation has to pay. Then arrest, imprisonment and other. Then there is health cost. HIV cases mostly increased in this country or anywhere in the world just because of injectable drugs. Injectable cocaine, heroin, whatever methods were there. So this was one of the reasons why HIV increased, because there was no precaution in using the needles and everything. So one was using same needle, the other was using the same needle. So it happens, it is spread like anything. Then there is infertility is there, psychosomatic disorders, psychological disorders are always there. Reduced immunity level, premature death, miscarriage, stillbirth, unprotected sex, sexuality, STD. So lot many things are associated. This is one of the old singers who abused drugs. She was on the left hand side, you might see his good time picture, and on the right hand side you will find her bad time pictures. So this is the transformation. These are the successful people. I'm just forgot her name. I'll try to remember. She is not Tina Turner. Whitney Houston. She is Whitney Houston. So if you go through, these are all very successful singers, but you can see the transformation. ऐसा नहीं था कि they were not understanding the abuse and they were not understanding, but everybody was thinking that I will be in the driving seat. Drugs won't control me. I will be controlling drugs. But they all fell into that pit. They all fell into that trap. So whosoever says कि एक कश में कोई गुनाह नहीं है, वो बहुत ही बड़ा झूठ बोलता है. ये चीज हमेशा याद रखिएगा. ड्रग्स के केस में एक कश भी गुनाह है. अगर आपने एक कश लिया तो आपने एक कदम बढ़ा दिया है. अगर आपने दूसरा कश ले लिया तो आपने दूसरा कदम बढ़ा लिया. और ये एक ऐसा रास्ता है जिससे आप वापस नहीं आ सकते. So ये चीज हमेशा याद रखिएगा. Economic cost, productivity suffers. अगर आप कहीं नौकरी कर रहे हैं, no one will be allowing a drug abusive person to be on the job, because he needs output, he needs value for money. If value for money is not coming, he is not allowing you. So your productivity will go down. You will be fired. Your salary will go down. Each and everything will be there. Then there is the psychological cost. Ultimately, the person whosoever suffers with drug abuse issues finds himself psychologically blocked. He is not accessible to the family. Family is not very interactive to him. He is not accessible to the society. He cannot access society. Everybody just discards him. He becomes alone. He becomes the same people who asked him to fall into this trap are nowhere around him. Only he is there at the very last moment, जबकि वो इन चीजों को सफर कर रहा होता है. So there are issues. Now there must be some good gainers also. Yes, there are gains also. gains are work for those people who are selling these drugs. The drug cartels, the anti-national people who are finding your money to kill your own people. You are basically financing the terrorists. If there is some terrorist organization working in this country, there is 90% chances that the money of that terror funding has come from drug. And drug, who is paying for drug? It is the person who is the abuser, who is a drug addict. So he is paying money for a person to be killed in some other part of this very country. So this is one of the few issues which needs to be taken care of. What can be done? Now we have seen what all can be done. So we can do many things. This is Mary Com's message. Something loving your child means setting limits and say no to drugs. If you love someone, just have limits also. These are few things that you can do as a parents and teachers. Grades pay, you must have the watch on the grades. You must have the watch on the quality of friends that your friends, your brother, your sister are having. You are also parent. As a student of say first year, second year, third year, you are also a parent, a guide for your juniors, your younger ones, your siblings. So as a parent, as a parental guardian, as a guardian, you must have all these things in notice. You might be finding some of these indicators within your own siblings also, within your close near and dear ones. You can just make them aware that we are aware, and you must stop doing all these things, or you must take steps to just stay away from. Then sleep habits, secretiveness, I have already told, sickness, sudden sickness, hidden trash. One of the most important indicators, you start finding some anonymous sort of packagings, which you do not comprehend that what are these packagings meant for. So you must be aware that whenever you start finding some secretive sort of packaging material, some burnt ashes, some matchsticks without any reasons, this is an alarm. This is a point of alarm. You must understand that this is not happening for normal things. You cannot just have a lighter when you are not smoking. When you cannot have a matchstick burnt when you are not burning an incense stick or using it in kitchen. So there is no reason why a matchstick should lie or matchbox should lie or a lighter should lie within the room, four walls of a teenager or someone, a student. So these are the few indicators. Then parents as a guardian, so many things are there which can be done. Don't react impulsively, gather evidence. So many things are there. These are, you can go through. Choose the right time and way to talk to children. There is no need of reacting, just you have to counsel your child. Most of the time, counseling works, and a good message conveyor can always convey a nice message, and just for the sake of family, for the sake of career. Many people who wanted to break through this barrier of drug returned back. They never went into this thing. So this personal talk, pep talk, is very important within your friend, your groups, your peer group, within your family and within your siblings. So try to do all these things. Role of society. Society means you and me. Here my role comes, here your role comes as a college, as a student, as a friend. Community awareness and education awareness is very much required, which is being done by GIT, and I must congratulate your college and as a students you also, because it is the initiative that is always taken by the student community. Then awareness and vigilant school and colleges, like I told, that you must be vigilant also about your friends, about your campus, about your the corners in the campus, about your hostels, that whatever is happening, you must bring it to the notice of the authorities for taking corrective measures. There is no need of reporting everything to the authorities. Do not get fearful. But you can always, law enforcement authorities, but you can always communicate things to a responsible person in your college who can take the corrective measures. So there is always a way for everything. There is no reason to just go to police or come to me and just to report. No, you have to exhaust all your channels first, and only when all such channel fails, you can approach to the agencies for taking corrective measures. But before that, action at your own end is very much required. I told somewhere in between that it is not the agencies only who can just demolish all these structures and networks and all these abuses that are happening. It is the society which is the most important participant, because information and any reaction has to come from the society. Then only things go for wellness. If there is no reaction from the society, if everybody is trying to just stay aloof and just feeling like that this is not my problem, then it becomes a problem. Because today it might not be your problem, but tomorrow it will certainly be your problem, because it will be starting to prevail, and prevalence will come and knock at your door at some point of time. So be aware, and we need to be cautious about these things. So with this slide, I am going to just finish this presentation, and now I open the forum for the interactive session. And I hope that I have completed this in time. And I wish that I'll be getting a good amount of question to reply from your side. Thank you so much.
So, thank you, sir. We have a question here. Two questions actually from students in the chat box, if you can see. The first question is, can steroids which are taken by many of the bodybuilders considered to be harmful drug?
See, steroids, as per their definition, are designed to boost the performance of your physical body, your performance, they are called performance enhancement drugs. Steroid उनको नाम दे देने से कोई difference नहीं आ जाता. Ultimately, they are designed for doing something, and anything that has been designed to stimulate any work is not a good thing for body. That is why I kept steroid in one of my slides. There is a steroid that has been included as a drug, because if there are certain permissible limits for every steroid, even a sports body also allow you certain steroids to be taken. But there are certain steroids that they do not allow, not because that they increase the performance, just because that they harm the physical body ultimately. So most of the steroids that have been banned by the sports authorities are not because of performance enhancement, but because of the after effects that it gives to the sports person. So this is one of the reasons why most of the steroids have been banned. And steroids are never freely advised by any doctor.
True, sir. There's another comment also. Sir, as you said earlier, that rehabilitation from drug abuse can be achieved, and I completely agree that we also have rehabilitation centers in India too. But I'm eager to know what are the other measures taken by our government in order to reduce the usage of harmful drugs.
See, when we talk about measures, first of all, there is demand reduction. There are efforts to stop demand reduction. Demand reduction, this awareness session that we are conducting becomes a part of demand reduction, because if I am able to explain the harmful effects of drug abuse, so I'll be dissuading not many persons to just stay away from drug. And if you as a listener take the correct message of this interactive session and take it back to the society, your family and everything, so you are reducing all these issues. So there is a demand reduction. So the one aspect is demand reduction, which the government is working upon. So it covers the awareness sessions, it covers the advertisement, it covers all the support of the society that can give it. That then there is harm reduction. So there are rehabilitation centers are there, and counseling centers are there, psychotropic assistance, psychological assistance. Lot many efforts are being made for harm reduction. So once the person who has already fallen into the trap, if he wants to come out, so there is this aspect also which is taken under harm reduction. And the third one is supply reduction, for which agencies are working. So NCB is there, customs is there, DRI is working, police is working. Lot many agencies are doing their work on this. But for supply reduction, most important thing is information. So information has to flow from the society. None of the agency was ever created for their own sake. It was always there to help out the society. And what is the help? Help is like you have to seek the help. Once the society wants to convey something, only then agencies can perform better. You cannot go and search and just hunt everybody and just bring this menace down. But yes, if information flows to you, it is a good thing to happen. So supply reduction, society ka participation is a very huge thing to happen. And as a student, being a part of a society, you can take this message also and become helpful to the societies as well, to the agencies as well. All right.
Anybody else who would like to share his or her experience? Okay, sir, we have some other questions also. Can drug affect animals?
Can drug affect?
Animals.
See, drug affects animal. Drugs are designed for certain purpose. If, in fact, morphine, if you take as an injection, it is also given to the animals. So similar kind of effect drugs also have, and drugs are also even few people feed alcohol to horse also. So ऐसा नहीं है कि drugs do not affect animals. Yes, they can. Any other question?
Sir, there's someone who is asking, what difference do you find in online awareness and taking awareness session with student being present physically? And a big thank you so much for this amazing awareness session. Student has replied.
See, as a person, if you feel, if you find me, my personal opinion, I'll always prefer a practical session, a one-to-one session, a physical session, rather than going for webinar, because I also understand that webinar has certain limitations, and span of attention in a webinar is very difficult to maintain. In a physical session, since it becomes very interactive, that interaction and information flow and two-way communication makes it more result-oriented rather than such type of sessions. So we'll be looking forward to conduct a few physical sessions also once this pandemic is shows some good signs for everyone, because these are the hard times we are living in. So this has become a nice carrier. Webinars have also become a nice carrier of message, and we have to live with it for a certain period of time. I hope I have answered your problem, because I could get this much only that somebody asked this.
Sir, I would like to share my experience also. Sir, during the course of time, I have many friends who are like, stage actors. One of them was a photographer also, and some singers also. So, usually they do take drugs. That is what I have come across. And the reason they usually give is that they derive motivation at times from that. So how justified is that?
They needed motivation.
No, sometimes they derive motivation. The thing you said in the midst of it.
Whosoever thinks that he is the only person who needs motivation, I already mentioned somewhere in between. The people who are real achievers needed most of the motivation, but they never looked outside for motivation. They looked within themselves for all the motivation, and all the achievers were one-man army. They never went for any support or anything. If you have it in you, you will be performing. If you don't have it in you, try to develop. Do not try to borrow it, because borrowing is not your natural trait. So if you are weak, try to become strong. If you are very emotional, try to become strong. Just if you want to cry, cry. Do not hide. You will find that you will become stronger person once you let your emotions out. And you may think over and you may laugh at some certain point of time that you were crying on that issue. So that becomes everybody has a problem in his life. But shortcut of going by the alcohol, going by the drug, going by the medicine is certainly not an answer. There is no shortcut. There is no shortcut. Problem is there. Problem will remain. Problem is there with everyone in the life. There is no one who can say that I don't have any problem. Everybody is having problem. But not everybody is going through those shortcuts of drugs and liquor. So whosoever is going through drugs of shortcut and shortcut, these things look for traits of a weak person. So try to become stronger. Try to inculcate things in you rather than just trying to borrow things and just to. Somebody said कि एक कश लेने से गम गलत हो जाता है, तो वो सब चीजें जो है यहाँ काम नहीं करती. All right.
Yes, sir. And for students also, sir, they'll come across many friends in the future also, while they are studying and maybe in job, that they'll be put into a peer pressure, but they have to avoid that thing, right, sir?
If some of the students want to ask straight questions on through their mic or something, they can do.
Yes, sir. There's one question: how many people die from drugs in a year?
These are written questions. I said that.
Okay.
If someone wants to just.
If someone wants to.
Yes, sir. I want to ask one question.
Yeah, no.
Sir, already from your presentation, I came to know that opium is considered as a drug in India. But one of my friend recently visited the Rajasthan, and in the Rajasthan, some of the very prominent places and very good salesmen are selling the opium-based perfume, and they are tasting that perfume onto the body of themselves as well as the body of the traveler, and then they are trying to sell the opium-based perfume to the foreigner as well as the Indian audience. So, is it legal to sell such kind of perfumes?
See, I don't know what are the properties of perfume. If it is only related to the smell of opium, it might be because any concoction should not contain opium beyond a certain limit, and that prescription or whatever concoction has been made should be approved by some licensing authority. If this is not being done, opium consumption or opium possession, even in a gram, is a crime in this country. In this country, not in any region, I'm talking about this country. If you are going to possess even a gram or less than a gram of cocaine or heroin or opium or whatever drug I have told, it is a crime. You will be taken into jail for a minimum for a period of 1 year.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Sir, also I'm having another question. Sir, if any one person is surrounding by me, if I am not that much sure whether he or she is taking the drugs, but from your presentation we came to know that there are some symptoms by which we can identify whether he is taking drugs or not, but we cannot exactly sure whether he is taking drugs or not, then can we call any particular agencies to look after into this matter?
See, best thing is to first speak to that person. You just carry on with your investigation for a few more days. There is no need to panic and to react on very first day. Just have your investigations for 4, 5, 7 days. Just try to bring things more clearly out. Thereafter, you can take him, you can sit and speak to him. You can take him to some de-addiction center, some psychologist also. First of all, take him to the psychologist, then to the de-addiction center, because this is the normal route that is required to be followed. Agencies such as NCB, if such matters are brought to us also, we only recommend for de-addiction centers. And that is one of the things that we provide support, because our main aim is to just reduce the supply reduction. So we are the law enforcement agency, we have to work on those lines. But the route should be that investigation at your end, thereafter psychologist's help. If that is working or that is not working, that person should be referred to some de-addiction center, which list of which is available mostly with the psychologists. They also have those lists.
But sir, when there is no room for personal interactions, then how can we identify whether he or she is taking the drugs? Investigation is not possible from our end. Reason is we cannot directly ask them or enter into their premises whether they are actually consuming or not. But just we are having a feeling that he or she is definitely consuming. Then can we call the particular agencies to investigate in detail?
Yeah. If there is a problem of drug sales within the premises, if someone is reported to be consuming some sort of drugs, you can always come to us. That is our part. That we can do, and I will be happy to do that.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sir, I had one doubt, also means a sort of question. So, as you told right now about your experiences, can you share any one of your experiences, whether it is shareable, and what did you do in that experience?
Experiences to what?
Means any case where you encountered such drug addicts or people who have abused drugs, and what measures were taken by you or your team for the same?
See, if you are talking about experience, these experiences we face day and night, and very recently we burst one codeine supply racket. 2-3 days ago, there was news also in the newspapers. So there we got a complaint that few persons were selling codeine-based cough syrup, normal prescription drugs, without any papers and everything to the general habitual consumers who were abusing the codeine-based cough syrup. So we just had our inquiry for 1 or 2 days. Thereafter, we started our search. We just rounded up few people, we carried on search, and thereafter we arrested one person in this case. The investigation is still going on, and once those people came in here, one of them came here yesterday also. So he just started narrating his events, because they were having license, so they were allowed to be handed over to another agency. So he intimated his experience, how he felt when he was first picked up and brought into this office. I was there. I could see him shivering. He was crying yesterday also. He was not into drug abuse, but he was somewhere part of this mechanism. So despite of not being actually involved in this menace, he was there. So he was crying and shivering and everything. So this experience is best when you experience it firsthand. There is nothing there that I can share or I enjoy. We never enjoy such experiences, but there is nothing that can be done beyond one point of time. If you are on the wrong side of the law will take its own course. That is the only message. n number of approach, n number of crying, n amount of legal jargons, everything, nothing is going to help. Minimum is 1 year for very small quantities, 1 gram, 2 gram. And agar if you have crossed a certain limit, 10 years is the minimum thing to happen. If there is a certain limit crossing. I am not going to narrate about those limits. So I won't be advertising those limits, but just remain assured that whosoever is taking it, even if he is consuming, 1 year is the minimum sentence. If he is having something beyond a certain limit, 10 years is the minimum limit. There is nothing in between. So everybody has to be careful. Experiences are shared one-to-one.
Yes, sir. Anybody else who would like to ask anything? We can still have one or two
Yes, sir.
questions. Yeah.
Good morning, sir. And first of all, thank you to sharing this your experience and your presentation. Sir, my question is, sir, what was the main reason and why the people are taking the, especially teenage, why the people are taking a drug and what was the reason behind that? I mean, what was the reason they're taking a drug like alcohol and smoking? Like, what was the main reason, sir?
See, main reason, I believe you saw that slide where I discussed the reason. During teenagers, since you use the word teenagers, so teenagers means moldable age. It is, I call them a मिट्टी का घड़ा. एक कुम्हार बना रहा है, वो कैसे भी उसको शेप दे देगा. So they will be formed like that. They don't have anything of their own during these formative ages, 13 to 20. So whatever they see around, if they are seeing good things around them, they will get all those good things within them. If they are seeing all the bad things around them, money, alcohol, smoking, drugs, moving around, high-speed car chasing, high-speed bike, so they will be falling. So what happens that after coming out of their homes, after studies of 12 class studies and everything, there is a certain kind of newly found freedom available with teenagers mostly, who come to the college, who are the first year students, second year students. So there is a lack of control from the parental side, as well as money is available with them. So they tend to go for experiments. They have certain friends who have lot of money in their own pockets. They are already in a bad company, and since this newfound freedom is there, so they all tend to just intermingle and go in the wrong direction. So it is the individual who is the strong person can only understand and ask him to be away from those things, and the person who is ready to be molded can be molded in any manner. Naturally, he is not having his own appreciation about life. He is not having his own targets. He is gullible. I call it a gullible mind. So gullible, if you are gullible for anything, you can be molded. You are ready to be molded. Only a strong personality cannot be molded by anything what is happening around. He has his own thought process. He has his own vision. He or she has his own targets. So any person who is strong cannot follow a wrong path. Any person who is gullible is ready to be mingled, ready to be shaped in any direction. And certainly all the shapers, the worst part is that all such type of shapers are themselves inexperienced. They themselves were gullible. They were molded in some other frame. So if they are going to shape someone, they will be a very bad creators, I think.
Hello. Sir,
Yeah,
somewhere we hearing that some of the shopkeepers are using addiction-based some materials just to make addiction towards the tea. So can we identify whether the tea stall is using any additives just to make addictions to the user?
See, if there are certain, I have come through all such type of inputs. If there are certain confirmed inputs, these can be shared with the agencies, because there is no straight away method of detecting all these that is freely available. But we have those systems, we have those equipments.
Okay, but sir, from customer side, can we have any kind of test by which we can identify whether are they?
What you can do, you can just have that cup, just keep it with you, that content and cup, just send it to us, we'll get it checked.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So I guess we can, end the session. Anybody else would like? There's one question, sir, in the chat session. If you'd like to take, why can't Indian government ban cigarettes and tobacco straight away rather than imposing such high taxes?
See, there is, I don't believe banning or taking coercive measures is an answer for any government, any society, say. All right. None of the government, none of the societies would like to ban if there is a responsible use. Responsible use is one important thing which lacks in drug abuse. That is why drugs are called abusers, drug abusers, smoke abusers, alcohol abusers. So they fall into a different category. But policy matters, none of you and me can comment upon that, because these are policy matters. But banning is certainly is not an answer for anything. You can ban liquor in Gujarat. Is it actually banned? Is it actually not available? So banning is not an answer. You should ban only those things which you can really control. Otherwise, society's participation is the most important thing. It is your own will, it is your own control, which should be governing you rather than rather than certain law created by the parliament. So that is one of the best thing to happen. Society should govern itself, not the law.
Yes, sir. Anybody else? Okay, sir. So we can conclude the session. Okay. So we have come to the end of the webinar. I would like to thank Shri Shailendra Mishra, sir, for taking time from his busy schedule and conducting such an important and informative session for our students. We are fortunate to interact directly with the Zonal Director regarding such issues virtually. Sir is humble enough to listen and answer each and every question that we have put to him about drugs. I am sure that students are motivated and will share today's learning with their family members and friends. I am proud to announce that all our students have taken the Say to No Drugs e-pledge, thereby moving towards a drug-free campus. Sir, we plan to do more such collaboration with the NCB in the future, and we look forward to having you at our institute. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. And I believe that the target that GIT told to me that they will be becoming the first fully fledged campus of this state is going to be achieved very soon, and I'll be looking forward to that day. So I'll be happy to declare the campus as the first campus that is fully fledged. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Sir, I would request all the participants to switch on their video so we can take a group photo. Participants, students, please switch on your video camera. ઉઠા કરીને હોય Okay, thank you everyone for joining the session, and thank you, Shailendra sir. We
Thank
can
you.
conclude the session now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.